white people ultimately don't need other races in order to succeed, in order to be ourselves. Absolutely not.
So how do you think America became the greatest economic nation without...
Not through black people.
Oh, it wasn't? It wasn't because of free labor?
Are you talking about slavery?
No, I'm talking about slavery and also what happened after slavery, which Douglas Blackman talked about, slavery by another name. So I'm trying to understand, when you say didn't need it, how do you think America became the greatest economy that it did? How do you think that happened?
Through the genius of Europeans.
How was the genius of Europeans when the fact of the matter is it was actually King Cotton that supplied the economic means for America to do so? And that was a result of free labor from black people.
Look, the whole point here is that who creates these systems, who creates these business models and businesses?
Slavery was a business model?
Well, yes, it was a business model.
I asked you again, okay? You said we don't need anybody else.
No.
But the reality is, American history proves you wrong. The fact of the matter is, there is no great America. You can't sit here and talk about that greatness without other people making that happen.
Why don't you move to a different country? Why are you staying here? Young 10-year-old, very intelligent-looking young lady, a black young lady, who will not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in her classroom. She doesn't want to stand up because apparently she believes that black Americans need a lot more to be done in this country. You know what I believe, Cornell? And I know you supported her publicly. I think at 10 years old, she has no real understanding of what America is.
We don't have illegal aliens. I don't know if that's from some sort of sci-fi message that you wish you've had. Well, listen, the legal term for my people were slaves. You want me to use that term too? So look, let's just get the language right. We're talking about undocumented individuals that are human beings. The last thing that I'm going to do is accept the type of racist, nasty language to describe human beings. And so as far as our spending on Chicagoans, I've put forth a $16.7 billion balanced budget that ensures that we're investing in education, transportation, housing, youth employment, environmental justice, as well as ensuring that we have safe communities. And we are going to challenge the ultra wealthy to pay their fair share. He's more than happy to look at that budget.
Let me just, excuse me, let me just say something here. Let me just say something right here. It is very important that people in Illinois and across the country understand the immigration system is a civil system. Undocumented presence in the United States is not a criminal offense. And so thank you for the clarification on language right here.
I wonder if her parents have sat her down and explained what Americans have given their lives, white, black, red. It doesn't make any difference. They stood and they fought and they died for this country, and she doesn't want to do anything to honor them?
She comes from a family of military service members. Her father's a retired military service member also, who served this nation well with great dignity.
Good.
Her mother's a very intelligent woman. What white people need to understand
Just
is that,
white people?
Yes, please. Let me explain. That national anthem was written by Francis Scott Key, a slave owner.
Oh, here we go.
Who demonized and hated black slaves and black people. Go research the third verse where he says, "There's no refuge in this country for the hireling or the slave. Both should be turmoil to the grave."
How's her parents do it?
This is a man
Are they successful?
that promised turmoil for black people to the grave. Would you ask Jewish children to say a pledge to a German anthem that disrespects Jewish people?
If they're
No, you
living
would
in
not.
Germany,
No,
sure.
you would not.
Well, sure.
That disrespects Jewish people?
Then
No,
why?
you would not.
You certainly can kneel down. In America, you have the right to do that.
America looked at the same way at Rosa Parks when she refused to get up and give up her seat to a white man on the bus. But history vindicated her. History vindicated her.
Two different
America
things.
demonized Harriet Tubman for freeing slaves from slavery, but history vindicated her. So I say to that young girl, you stand strong, stand up, and stand for what you believe in. And to all of those who are too coward to do it, don't get in that young girl's way. Others
What
like
would you
her,
like her-
support that young
What
girl.
would you like her to say to the men and women who have fought for this country like I ran into over the weekend? The black men and women who fought for this country and some who gave their
And
lives.
ask the black men and women who served America in its military, like in the Independence War. We helped America get it, and we were still slaves afterwards. Ask those in Vietnam who gave their war
Why
on
didn't you stay
Vietnam
in
battlefields,
2016?
but then came back and was
Why
called
didn't you stay in
niggas
2016?
in their own country. We have fought in America's war, and we've never been given the justice and the due process of everybody else in this nation.
Then
So
why
she's
don't
stepping
you
some of this
move
right.
to a different country? Why are you staying here if you don't
Man,
like it?
let me tell you why. Because
Why?
the country belongs to Indians. You white folks stole it from them, raped and robbed their people. This not your country. You all came over here and stole it and beat the hell out of them.
When I was
So this
born,
not your
it
country.
was my country.
You all need to go home.
If you're
you
not
all need to go back where you
interested,
came
if
from.
you don't like it, why don't you
Excuse
pack
me?
up and go?
Let the Indians decide who should pack up and go, and I guarantee you black folks will stay, and you all will be on the first damn boat leaving here. So don't try that, brother. You all didn't make America. This is not your country.
What you should do is sit down with someone who has fought for this country, Cornell. Get their opinion too.
Tons of black people have, and what have we gotten from it?
Fox 26 interview with Quanell was not about the little black girl who did not want to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. That debate was about who gets to belong and who doesn't. Because Quanell explained calmly and historically why a little black child may not want to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, or the national anthem for that matter. He explained how the man who wrote that anthem was a slave owner who despised black people. He explained how black soldiers fought, bled, and then came home to a country that still called them slurs, still denied them the same freedoms they went and fought for those white people to have. He explained that freedom in America has always come with an asterisk for us. And so what did that white man do? He interrupted, he overtalked, he continued to dodge accountability, and then he pulled the oldest card in the book. Well, if you don't like it, why don't you just leave? And that question right there is the tell. Because white Americans cannot fathom why black and brown people will criticize a country that we still stay in. And that is because white Americans' nationalism is their identity, not principles. See, black, brown, and indigenous people have peoplehood. We have lineage, we have memory, we have culture that's older than the American flag. Our identity exists with or without America. And white Americans don't have that. Because remember, most of them were not nobles. They were not royalty. They were Europe's cast-offs, criminals, rapists, debtors, and the violently poor that were exported to stolen land. The society that put them on the bottom of the hierarchy rid themselves of them and then shipped them here where they built up a hierarchy that put them at the top. They invented whiteness to cling to. They invented something that gave them a sense of identity, something they could invent that made them think they were superior, and indoctrinated everyone else by threat of violence and force and death to believe that what they were inventing was true. They wrapped their entire self-worth in a nation that they felt that they could finally dominate. And that is why they cling to that flag, to the anthems, to the pledge, because that's all they have. So when we say, hey, this country harms us, they don't hear a call to repair. They instead hear a threat to their identity. When Quanell told him all the reasons why black people believe that we should not have to stand up for an anthem or pledge our allegiance to a country that's never put us anywhere but at the bottom, that white man said, well, then why don't you leave? Because they hear a threat to their identity, that's why the solution is always for us to leave. But here's the part they choke on, just like Quanell said. This country ain't theirs. This country was stolen from indigenous people, built by enslaved Africans, and maintained by exploited labor. We didn't come here chasing some dream. Our ancestors were brought here in chains. So don't ask us why we stay. Ask yourselves why you won't leave. I believe they will not leave because deep down they know that this nation, this country, this America is the only thing standing between them and finding out who they really are, the type of people they really come from. And that's why a black child choosing to sit down for the Pledge of Allegiance threatens you, terrifies you, because it's not disrespectful, it's honest. Black people's relationship with white people in America has been one of narcissistic abuse, and it's just like a narcissist to say, don't talk about all the ways in which I hurt you. Congratulate me for giving you the smallest bit. Tell me how great I am. Don't look too closely about the wrongs I've done because that didn't happen. Just like a narcissist.
Why don't you move to a different country? Why are you staying here?
Tell me why they ask us, why don't we leave when they brought us here, right? I didn't right over here on a boat because we wanted to. Our family was brought here out of no goodwill and used as slaves. And on top of that, to this day, people still fight like this white man on the screen talking about how, well, why don't you leave? Well, why don't we all stop the hate? Because that's all this is. To have any kind of disregard for a different race, you purely and basically are saying, I'm dumb. Because what do you mean? Different cultures are beautiful. Different ethnicities are beautiful. Even the white people.
This is a very racist society. I mean, it's pretty shocking. Remember what happened. The constitutional amendments during and after the Civil War were supposed to free African-American slaves. It did something for about 10 years. Then there was a North-South Compact, which essentially granted the former slave-owning states the right to do whatever they wanted. And what they did was criminalize black life in all kinds of ways. Now, that created kind of a slave force. It threw mostly black males, but also women, into jail, where they become a perfect labor force, much better than slaves. If you're a slave owner, you have to keep your capital alive. If the state does it for you, it's terrific. No strikes, no disobedience, perfect labor force. A lot of the American Industrial Revolution in the late 19th, early 20th century is based on that. Actually, it pretty much lasted until the Second World War, when there was a need for what's called free labor in the war industry. After that come about two decades in which African Americans had a kind of a shot entering the society. A black worker get a job in an auto plant. The unions were still functioning. Maybe buy a small house, send a kid to college or something. By the 1970s or 80s, it's going back to criminalization of black life. It's called the drug war, which is a racist war. Ronald Reagan was an extreme racist, denied it. And the whole drug war, so-called, is designed from policing up to eventual release from prison to make it impossible for the black male community and more the women and more Hispanics to be part of the society. In fact, if you look at American history, the first slaves came in 1619, and that's half a millennium. There have been about 3 or 4 decades in which African Americans had a limited degree of freedom. You know, it's not entirely, but at least some. Now, of course, it's for black elites, there's some privileges, but I'm talking about the mass of the population, which has been recriminalized and incidentally also turned into a slave labor force.
And this is why they hate blacks in America so much, the white power structure. We're the only non-white people in the country who cannot be sent home. Right. You cannot be deported. Slavery destroyed your cultural, psychological, and intellectual connection to your ancestral homeland. If the Ghanaian get on your nerve, he go back to Ghana. If the Puerto Rican gets on your nerves, he go back to Puerto Rico. If the Afro-Cuban gets on your nerves, he or she go back to Cuba. If the Chinese get on your nerves, send them back to China. If the East Indian gets on your nerves, send them back to India. If the Arab gets on your nerve, send them back to one of the Middle Eastern states. But when American Africans get on your nerves, where do you deport us to? Most American Africans are so brainwashed, they think they're American. So you cannot deport them because this is what they identify with most. So in other words, the white man created his own problem, which makes it almost impossible to deport us. So the only way to get rid of us is a systemic system of racial genocide. And that's what they're using.
Oh my gosh, just look at this.
You think white people hate black people?
Yes.
Or they just don't understand this?
Hate us. They understand us. Nigga, they made us. They educate us. What you mean they don't understand us? They educate us. 95% of school teachers are white in America. What you mean they don't understand us? Most of them are our probation officers. Most of them are our judges. What you mean they don't understand us? They're reading our files. They know our history. They know our history better than we know it.
They don't understand the struggle, though. That's what I mean.
They do understand the struggle. They created it for us to struggle. They know what the struggle does to us. Believe me, we don't know. That's why we try to embrace the struggle like it's something. That's why we put the struggle over a middle class life. You didn't get it out the mud.
Yeah.
Nigga, they know we don't understand the struggle, nigga. Nah, homie, we got it wrong. They understand that you need a mother and a father to almost raise a successful child in this country. They understand that. They'll marry a fat white girl that'll stay home and nurture the kids, but she's fat. She's not fine. You see what I'm saying? Nigga, they'll make sacrifices because we won't. We the ones who don't get it.
Defends Mexicans and Native Americans.
I told everybody that I'm in remission. I am cancer free. And I want to thank everybody that has prayed for me, that has come up to me and been so kind to me. And you know what? the immigrant-free day, I think about these individuals. You know something? When you do what I did, when you work hard, when you do what you're told, when you go where you're supposed to go, and you pray to God, then good things happen. If one day you decide you're going to do none of those things, then what may happen is exactly what happened to these so-called immigrants, many of them illegal, who decided not to go to work a particular day to somehow get across some kind of message. They get fired the next day. Welcome to America.
Matt, you know, I am happy that you're in remission. To God be the glory. But it is amazing how you could beat cancer and be in remission and your heart still be so cold and hard. It is amazing how you would speak that way about immigrants when you call them so-called immigrants. You're right, they're so-called immigrants.
Some are illegal.
Because they're only coming back home. Texas, Arizona, and California were stole from the Mexicans. So they're so-called immigrants because they're coming back home. And when you speak about if you work hard and do the right thing and be good to people, well, guess what? That's not the history or the legacy of your ancestors.
You got to come through the front door.
White folk didn't come through the front door. White folk kicked open the back door and killed everything else in between to conquer America.
Well, why do you,
they were not good to people that they met. They didn't show hospitality to the Indians.
You're trying to avoid what we're talking about.
They didn't do that.
Here.
They weren't hospitable.
You're trying to avoid what we're talking about here, and you're going to go back 200-300 years.
What I'm trying to do.
Why don't we talk about what's taking place over the weekend?
What I'm trying to do is try to tell white people like you, stop throwing rocks at the immigrants when you all live in a glass house. You all didn't come to America the right way or the godly way.
Yes, you do. You do the things the correct way. And in 2017, the correct thing to do is come through the front door. And these are people that snuck into this country. And so we're all supposed to allow that to happen? That's not how it works. You're not going to get what you're looking for. And you got to work. You got to come through the front door. I understand that.
I'm saying they should not have to sneak back into a territory that the legacy of that territory belonged to their own people. But let's just say for the sake of the law, they broke the law. Okay, I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, brother, where is the human compassion that the ancestors of Indians showed your community? You all won't show that to nobody else. But you want it all showed to you.
Let's stay in America. There was no America back, what you're talking about. You're taking something and trying to turn it into something that it's not. Let's talk about the rules and the laws that exist in the United States of America.
This is America, but America the beautiful has been America the ugly toward too many people of color. And all we want is the same thing you all enjoy, the complexion for the protection.
Well, I tell you what,
all got in America. We don't have that.
Do that when somebody crosses your property line and wants to come into your home and sit down in your living room and eat out of your refrigerator without ever asking you or without being a member of your family.
All the immigrants are not doing that. So stop that, brother. That's a hype. That's a lie, and it's racist, man.
It's not a hype. It's exactly what they want.
They're not all doing that.
He was talking bad about Mexicans, and he got put in his place.
Governor Greg Abbott wants to make sure that Houston, the city of Houston, is put under the same microscope as any city that isn't allowed legally to be the quote-unquote sanctuary city. And this is what we do here in the city of Houston. People come into the city of Houston illegally. They're allowed to stay. There is only so much that our law enforcement officers are willing to do, that the DEA is willing to do, that the border agents are willing to do. Why in the world don't we go after those that are here? Well, that's what Abbott wants to change, and I agree. And as soon as we make sure that in the state of Texas, if Houston keeps conducting itself the same way that San Antonio and other cities conduct themselves, then no money is coming to Houston from the state. We need to do that on a state level. We also need to do it on a federal level.
But, Matt, my problem with this is, why are we so worried about getting rid of all of the Mexicans or Hispanics that are quote-unquote here, if they're illegal or not? At the end of the day, many of them are paying taxes. Many of them have been here for generations and decades. And, Matt, trying to get rid of 4 or 5 or 3 million people all at once is not going to work. We don't have the resources.
We don't have to do it all.
And secondly, Matt, listen, there is no such thing as an illegal Mexican immigrant coming into Texas, because they're only coming home. Texas, Arizona, and California were stole from the Mexicans.
Don't start
this
that
all belongs to them. So they're only coming home, and then here it is, you white folks stole the land from the Indians, but yet you're the natural, real illegal immigrant.
So let's start with the things you said that are already wrong. First of all, they're coming here, they're not paying any taxes. You're telling me they're paying taxes? They're not paying taxes.
Matt,
nobody
they
knows
are
who the
paying
heck they are.
taxes.
No, they're not
Matt.
paying any taxes.
Matt, when they buy a product, they paying a tax on it.
Let's continue
When they buy a car, they paying a tax on it.
You come into this country illegally. That is a law that you're breaking. And that's why they have to be sent back to wherever they came from. They want to come through the front door. That is the correct way to come in. And the city of Houston has to stop allowing this, or we're never going to get them to stop coming in here. Look, that's what we got to do. Follow the law.
But Matt, where is the compassion that the indigenous Indians had for white people in this country?
Why do you keep going backwards?
They let you all come in.
What are you going
and
backwards?
you came in and raised a whole lot of hell.
Don't start.
Trump,
Don't
Trump
start
called
bringing up
Mexicans
history and try and
rapists. He
explain
called
what's
them
going on
criminals.
today.
Trump called the Mexicans illegal criminals coming into America. Well, the biggest illegal criminal ever coming to America was white people.
So you don't give a damn if people break into this country.
I don't give a damn.
I wonder what's going to happen when they come and rob your house.
I don't give a damn about hypocrites who came here illegally and stole all of this and now want to blame them for only coming back home. To all of the Mexicans, don't worry about this. Just keep having babies, and in 30 years, all these white folks will be under your control.
To Americans, let's stand up and do what the hell we're supposed to do and stop letting the city of Houston be an open door. This ain't no sanctuary city.
Don't listen to
that.
This
is a real city.
Just keep having.
I think this is a fantastic law. It is time to start enforcing the laws that are on the books instead of the state and local officials legislating from their own little tiny offices.
It's an awful law because it's nothing more than a legal way for law enforcement to racially profile Mexicans and Hispanics. I would say to the Hispanic and Mexican community, what you got to do now, hook up with the black community and unite in political power, because if Mexicans and black people unite in Texas, we can control the governor, we can control the lieutenant governor, and we can control politics in Texas, period. I'm saying to the Latino brothers and sisters, don't fight them by yourself. If you hook up with black people and we unite, I'm telling you, we can run Texas and then pass laws to deal with those who hate us.
You're advocating for criminal activity, Quanell. These people are not here lawfully. They need to do what our ancestors did, what many Mexicans have done.
Well, no, wait a minute.
Many, don't interrupt me.
Your ancestors came here illegally. Wasn't nothing legal about your ancestors. They came illegally and they murdered, they raped, they pillaged a whole race of people. This country, Texas, Arizona, and California, belonged to the Mexicans.
Quanell, get back
it was stole from them.
You tell me to get back to the point.
They came here illegally.
No, you're not being fair to me here. You say stay on topic. I say, okay, we'll stay on topic. And then as soon as we start talking about illegal immigration, you go back to the black issue. Let's stay on topic.
Your ancestors are the master illegal immigrants.
Give me the opportunity to respond in that, you know what, we're all Americans here. And if you are here legally, absolutely, then we need to come together and we need to pass good laws for enforcing the laws.
Well, perhaps the Native Americans should have passed laws against your ancestors.
Thank you for watching those clips, and I'm sure we have all learned one or two things about history from the podcast and the reaction gathered from everyone in the clip you just saw. It happens that the heated public debate has gone viral after the man you saw in the podcast, made a controversial claim about Black Americans, one that many people quickly challenged with historical facts. According to the story, the man argued that the Black Americans don't belong here. But before the conversation could end, another speaker stepped in and responded with history lesson that changed the tones completely. You see, when things like this happen in the United States of America, what we can actually do to let the opposite person know is about history, the descendant of Black Americans. And as you can see in the podcast, the man later explained that the overwhelming majority of Black Americans are U.S. citizens by birth, with family histories in the country stretching back generations. He also pointed out that millions of Black Americans are the descendants of people who were forcibly brought to North America during the transatlantic slave trade centuries ago. Their history is deeply intertwined with the history of the United States itself. And as the discussion continues, you can see from those clips that the man and everyone that contributed to the clips made the original comment appear to realize that the statement didn't match the historical record, and what began as a confrontation became a reminder that assumptions can fall apart when they are tested against facts. The exchange quickly spread online, with many viewers saying it highlighted the importance of understanding history before making sweeping claims about entire communities. Others said it showed how calm, informed, and conversation can sometimes be more persuasive than angry arguments. But for me, the biggest takeaway wasn't about winning a debate. It was about recognizing the history matters, fact matter, and every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. If you enjoy this commentary, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more thought-provoking discussion on history, culture, and current affairs that has to do with Black Americans. Thank you. See you in the next.